G'day, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Spitting Bricks with Jono. I'm here with Tim from United States Season 4 Lego Masters. Welcome, Tim. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. So, you got to start with, how did you get into Lego?
Well, I'll keep it a brief story, but I actually, as a little kid, my grandparents had bought a train set, but it was just like red, blue, and white brick. And it was the red wheels with the metal spoke that actually stuck into the 2x4, and then you had the blue rails and all that. I have no idea where they got the set. They just had it, and we played with that. And along with our Lincoln logs and blocks, it wasn't a big deal. And then I don't know how I totally missed all of the classic space pirates, all of that stuff. And it wasn't again till 2010. My mother-in-law bought my son and I a set for Christmas. And somehow I had just gotten rid of my massive comic book collection, so I didn't have anything to collect. And I discovered that Lego is highly collectible. And
Highly
so
collectible.
I dove right in. Well, so I was 43. I technically I say I was probably 43 when I really discovered Lego as it exists today. So, but it's been a awesome, wild journey.
Fantastic. So, what was you got back into it with your son? What was the set that you got and brought as a present?
I'm gonna pull it down real because I can't.
Yeah,
It's a
grab it.
class. It was a creator, and I actually last night I was on a podcast, and so I need to write the number of it down. But I really love this set. It's got built 15 years ago, and it's always
Wow.
stayed and traveled we've moved a few times. So I haven't ever, I did this version of it, and that's the one I kind of stuck with. I guess I need to find
Yeah.
the instructions and play with it a little bit. And then the set that he got was it was a pretty good sized yellow race car of some kind. And I have to look it up. I know it's around here too somewhere, but we've acquired a lot of Lego since then.
I can see that on the shelves behind you.
Yeah, that's a teeny portion.
So, how was your experience on Lego Masters?
I had the time of my life. You know, I I've done so many things and about everything really when it gets down to it. I've been a private investigator, I've been an artist, a carpenter, electrician, telemarketer, about everything under the sun, trying to figure out what it is I would really like to do. That few short weeks of my life was just pure gold. I felt like I finally found my home. I mean, between the people, the castmates, and then just the production people and just the whole process. I mean, I didn't care. The being on TV part really didn't matter at all. It's just I enjoyed the process. I could do that every day. I wouldn't care if it ever aired or not. I mean, I could just go to work and do all that every day. I'd be the happiest person on the planet. But that being said, I've been fortunate enough to get to do a lot of conventions. And so I have got to just interact with the public tremendously. I was doing it previously before Lego Masters I have a large Wild West display and I love the convention. So I was always interacting with the public that way, but this just added a whole new dimension and, and it's just, I'm loving it. I'm living the
I know I hear that. So how did participating in the show change or enhance your view of Lego?
well, I'm gonna be honest, a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed at how little Lego really wants to have anything to do with us or have us support. Over here in the States, I've seen very little support from Fox and Lego for the show. So I'm not, to the point where I'm kind of wondering why did they even bother with the show? But I am so glad they did because it just really, has been a great thing for me. I've always loved the brick and I see all the value in it and what great things it does for, not only us doing the show, but just, the kids. That's the biggest fun part of it is seeing those kids showing off their builds and doing their thing and the imagination and all that it fosters. And even the adults too. I met a lot of 80-year-old people with Lego rooms and stuff like that. And so I think that's really
Fantastic.
cool.
That's cool. So how has your Lego building style evolved since the show?
Well, to be honest, I haven't done a whole lot of building since the show. I've been so
No?
busy with other stuff. I've got a lot of ideas, and this year, part of that is we moved twice in since all that happened. We had downsized and moved not long before I did the show, and then we just moved a year ago up here to a little town in Oklahoma where my daughter and son-in-law, and we now have 2 grandkids. So we moved up here to be with them. Access to my Lego has been very limited, and I'm still trying to put it all together. So building has just been an extremely tough situation, but it's my goal here the next few weeks in between conventions to try and get things sorted out so I can really get back to it. Because I really had a good time, and I really felt like I expanded my ability. I had never done any kind of creature building or character
Okay.
building like that. And that ended up kind of being my thing. That was my part of our builds and stuff. And so I really had a lot of that and want to
That's
explore that.
cool. When you're on the show, did you sketch out your ideas, or did you just pick up the bricks and build, or how was your building style?
Well, it followed along with my building style all along. I just kind of start grabbing, I have a general idea of what I want to do, and I just pull out the bricks and start going. And that's kind of Tim and he usually came up with the overall best idea for what we were going to do. And then then it was kind of sometimes a little frustrating, but sometimes because we're both do a lot of building. He probably a lot more than I do. And so, just figuring out how I could do what I could do to help and, make it all come together. And then once I did, I was shocked. I called it Emmett mode because I really was. I would just kind of see in my mind's eye, I would see what I wanted to build. And we had the overalls, so I had the pockets. So I'd go over to the brick pit. I'd just start loading my pockets up with the parts, and I'd get there to the table, and it was just magical almost because I would just kind of see how I wanted to do it. There was really not too much stress or, wondering how to do it. It was funny because I had been very creatively blocked for a long time before getting on the show. And that was one of my big fears. I'd get on there and just freeze up and not be able to do anything. So
Speaking of the show, was there a particular build or a challenge that you found on the show, and how you overcame the challenge?
ooh, we became known as the team that had to pivot about every time Amy and Jamie would come to the table. Why there would be something that we would end up doing a change. And that ultimately was what led to us going home in the episode we went home on. We ended up changing the way we were going like 3 times. Now we ended up with a complete build, and the final product was something we were very happy with, but it just, by the time we got there, it just wasn't as complete maybe as it could have been. But so that one was all really the biggest one. And it got crazier and crazier. We had to build out of Lego a sound, try to demonstrate a sound. And I was just like, and I thought we had the easiest sound to do, but what it was like how when they reveal the golden brick over here. And that was kind of one of the things too. The episode right before, they had lost the golden brick, and usually they waited an episode or 2 before they brought it back. Well, this time it was the very next episode, and it just happened to be that our build was going to have the golden brick, and because of the sound we had sounded so much like that. And then here comes Will, and he opens that box, and there's that golden brick, and we're like, oh, we're going to have to change up the whole thing. So we kind of pivoted, and then we had a certain movement that we wanted, because that was a big part of that challenge. You had to have movement in it, and I'm very challenged on the movement stuff, so he was doing most of that. And what we wanted to do, he just never could get it to work right, so he spent a lot of time on that. And it just, I don't know, just was a struggle all the way through, and just until about the last maybe less than half, when we finally figured out what we were going, settled on a thing, and then we just had a good time finishing it out. So, and I was happy, we made it through as far as we did, and I was happy with that. And like I said, the hardest part was just leaving everybody and leaving that atmosphere was what was really, the hard part.
It's an intoxicating atmosphere. So, what inspires your Lego designs? You said you'd never done any creatures before, and now you're building creatures. Are you inspired by architecture, nature, like culture?
All of the above, kind of. I've been an artist all my life, so I've always appreciated everything kind of from an artistic eye. The only reason the Wild West is something I grew up with, TVs, movies, and the area of the United States I grew up in was rich. Dodge City, was 2 hours away, and all these little old kind of forts and stuff. So, and my grandfather, he was very much a John Wayne person, and so I grew up being a John Wayne person. So that was always a big thrill. And so when I got into Lego, I discovered all the custom figures, and so I decided I was going to try and figure out how many real life Western legends I could come up with out of Lego. And so that's kind of been my main focus all these years, but I just love to have fun too. And the Lego movie for me was a real inspiration, how they used all the different worlds and just all the different themes were brought into it. And I want to do something with that eventually. I kind of lose my track. I'm getting old, my train of thought. So if I get way off the reservation.
Hey, you're doing great. You're doing great. So on the show, how were you able to, like, it's obviously building in scale on the show is quite different than real. How did you cope with that? Like, creating things of scale?
Well, we pretty much kind of, now thinking back on it, two of the challenges that we did ended up being minifigure scale. So we were both really familiar with that. I mean, my Wild West stuff, and Tim does a lot of architecture and cities and stuff like that. So we were doing pretty good with that. The one challenge, we had live kittens and we had to build a playhouse for them. So they kind of brought them out every once in a while. So we were able, it really wasn't so bad. We got to work with them and put that together. That might have been part of that fourth build we did. I just kind of was building, and he might have been a little out of scale with the whole thing. So that might have been part of the drawback on that. But for the most part, I didn't really think about that too much, to be honest.
Well, what was your most memorable moment on the show?
Oh,
you said the camaraderie and the family feel of the show.
There was a lot of, we just had a good banter going on all the time. I think a big part of it, the first episode, the team that actually ultimately went home, they had been struggling with their idea and then getting the right parts and all that. And everybody that had a little bit of time jumped over there and helped them towards the end just so they could have a complete build. And that was just great. And I don't know, we just all had so much fun. I mean, talking back and forth, and it was more like a Lego club meeting than a TV show competition show. I mean, we were all wanting to do, and there was always the fun challenges and, what do they call it? Smack talk or something too. But it just, I don't know. The whole atmosphere just kind of was a lot of fun, and it just felt like family. Like we were just hanging out with family. Even the production people, I just enjoyed them a lot too. You couldn't interact with the camera people much at all because we were told, don't bug them. They're there to do their thing. But there was always the producers walking around, and interacting with you and different things. So that was always fun. I would like to ask you, though, real quick, did you guys pretty much similar situation? Or I've never seen any of the New Zealand show, so I don't know if it's
we kind of took our lead off the Australian show. So it's very similar to the Australian show, which I think a lot of the modern Lego Masters have copied or at least mimicked a bit.
Yes.
We were filming during lockdown, and very much similar to you, we were allowed to interact with the camera crew and we weren't really allowed to interact with the host or the Lego Masters either, because the Lego host, because he might kind of accidentally let out sort of like, clue for an upcoming challenge or something. So they were told not to either. So, and everybody was wearing masks because we were in the middle of COVID when we shot. And that was really strange. So only the cast weren't wearing masks. And yeah, there was a bit of banter across the table, and you're right about the family connection. And it's just, you spend so much time like traveling to set and getting made up and mic'd up and all the time in the green room and hanging out, and you're all just talking about your different experiences. And I was sitting there just looking around the room, looking at the amazing, talented people. There was an artist and and a sculptural, museum art restorer, and there was an engineer, and there was like a climate change scientist. And I'm just like, I'm in this room going, wow, look at these people. This is amazing. And they're all, we've all got this shared hobby of little plastic bricks. And it's just, it's just so much fun. Yeah. It was literally a dream come true. Yeah.
Me down. I dream I never even would have known I had. I mean, a lot of
Well,
these,
I mean,
the
when we
young
were kids, there
people,
was no such thing as Lego Masters.
they grew up with the Lego and all that stuff, but I
Yeah.
didn't. So it was the dream come true. Part of me was just finding something to do with myself that just
It was a
fit
surprise.
finally.
Oh, it must have been nice to have been surprised like that.
All
Oh,
along,
wow, I didn't know I had this in me.
it was. It was a unique.
So how did you find the time pressure on the show? I mean, it's a very unusual experience to build in that condition. Like, how did you
Yes, it is.
find that?
You know, we did pretty good. We used, I think, except for the one we went home on, we usually got done maybe 20 minutes. And so then we just kind of had fun, just kept adding stuff
Yeah.
and doing stuff
And
to it.
missing, yeah.
And so I really, to be honest, I figured out not long ago, though, that's how I build at home. My big Wild West build, I'd always end up waiting till 2 or 3 weeks before the convention, and it had to get done. So I've never known any other way but to build under pressure. So I didn't feel that. And even the one we went home on, once we got things going, time was a essence. I mean, and that was the one episode we were literally putting the last plate on as Will was yelling at us. So, but even then, I was just having a ball. I had all these characters. I had a magician that I made, the great Will Roney, and then I did all like the little characters and stuff that made up the magic show. And Tim was working on the stage and doing some lighting and making the movement and all that. And he did a wonderful job of taking what was supposed to be a treasure chest initially and turning it into like a treasure or a magic show building, or he had
Wow.
cards and top hat. I mean, he really did a fantastic job of making it out. So, I mean, we really, for two people that build alone most of the time and have their own styles and all of that, we really did find we found a way to really mesh together really well. And it was frustrating in the beginning, usually a little bit, but once we got over that little hump, it was good. I mean, we kind of just found our, I don't know, found our groove, I guess.
So behind the scenes, I mean, you actually got to meet Lego Batman. I mean, Will Arnett is Lego Batman. How exciting! Like, what were some of the cool behind the scenes moments that you had on camera, or that probably weren't on camera?
Well, so I'll tell you a story about the Lego Batman thing. So I have my own. Back when I was 10, my grandmother taught me and my brother how to hand sew. So I made my own Batman. Batman's always been my guy since I was little. So I had my own Batman costume. He and I ran around our little hometown. We had the Bat bikes. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, I can relate. I love the Batman.
And so I told him that story because we had tried out season 1. We skipped 2 because of COVID. And then season 3, we actually ended up being one of the alternate teams for season 3. So we got to spend time. We didn't get to meet him or see anything because we just got sent home before filming started. But then 4, so I had spent so much time just putting myself in, watching the show and putting myself in there, having all these conversations with him. So I literally had because he's like 3 or 4 years younger than me, and he's a dad. I'm a grandpa too, but I thought we'd have a lot of fun. So I'm sure he thought I was just nuts that first time because I had that story about us both being Batman, and there was a couple other things. Oh, I know. Oh, I ended up getting the nickname Tank on the show because I wear tank tops all the time, and I wore them to the studio every morning. And so I think the first thing I said was, and I'm Tank, and I brought the big guns because I do bodybuilding and all that stuff. If I remember, I just got the strangest look from him. Like, oh my God, he's one of the.
Who is this guy?
But I will say one of the fun. I think it was the final episode. He and I somehow I had been talking to the producers and stuff about all the bounty hunting, the bodyguard and private invest, all this stuff I had done. And so he come over there and kind of got talking to me about that. And somehow we got off on the topic of me watching the Wild West channels all day long. And there's always three commercials. There's a walk-in tub, a safety alert, and then this car insurance thing. And so he's like, okay, Tim, if I was to do one of them commercials, what would you see me doing? And I said, well, you're kind of macho, all that. I said, the walk-in shower. So he said, okay, if I ever do a walk-in shower, you have to direct it though. I said, okay. And so we shook on it, and we'll see. You ever see him in a walk-in shower commercial? I had my directorial debut.
Fantastic. So how has Lego impacted your life beyond the show? You said that we mentioned the public before. How has that impacted you?
Lego has become my life. I mean, it took over my life before Lego Masters was even a thing. I mean, my family was I was obsessed. I mean, that's all I collected. That's all I get for gifts is Lego sets, even at 57 years old. And I just absolutely have figured out so many ways to utilize it, as an income, and, making different things and selling different things. And then just the conventions and the shows and the traveling. And I have a YouTube channel, and I do a lot of this kind of stuff, podcast, guests on podcasts and things like that. And then I actually got to a point where I was actually a few of the conventions getting to help go and get paid to help set them up and stuff like that. So was getting to travel and meet, people, our other lugs and stuff all around the country. So, I mean, it really has become my life for quite a while, and even more so now.
That's excellent. So what role do you think Lego plays in fostering creativity?
It has everything to do with it, because, I mean, for me, I'm trying to think the best way to answer this, because it does. I've got so much stories and things and to do out of Lego and stuff. And I think and now we have so many options with the colors and the parts and all of that kind of thing. And it's just anything you ever, would want to ever build, there's a possibility, a chance or an opportunity to do that. And it's just amazing. And then you have all the crazy characters, and then the ability to create your own characters and all that stuff. And so it's just, it's overwhelming sometimes because there's just so much you can do. But I guess that's my answer. I mean,
that's a great answer. That's a great answer. It's kind of how I feel about it. And you said before something about 80-year-olds with their Lego collection. So obviously age is no barrier when it comes to Lego.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's what I tell everybody, because I ask when they come through at the conventions, the parents or the grandparents and stuff. And so obviously the kids are there, for the way, but I say, so are you a builder? Oh no, I just kind of do it. But it takes my kids, and I said, oh, but I said, no.
Yeah,
I said,
you can do it too.
I said, I'm 57. I'm more excited about it than your grandkids are. I said, you could be that way, and I really try. And then every time I run across somebody who is really, in that age range and stuff, and, oh yeah, I've got my own Lego room and I do this, I do that. And it's just like, wow, that's awesome. I tell them, you made my day.
It's like, there are other crazy people out there still playing with bricks at that right point. I mean, there's that meme that goes around and it says that, Lego ages 9 to 99. It's like, what happens when you turn 100? You have to stop playing?
Fortunately, I probably will not get to find that out, but
you never know. We'll see.
I would love to see someone 102 or 109 just still playing with Legos.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, being on the show, there's quite a lot of time constraints and pressures. If you were to give any advice to anybody foolish enough to attempt a season of their own, what advice would you give them?
First of all, go for it. I mean, because I have no idea how I ended up on it. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination super magnificent builder. I mean, I'm proud of what I do, and and I get better all the time and all of that. But at the same time, I just have this insane love of of these little plastic bricks and stuff, and it shows. It allows me to just be a kid, and that was the biggest thing too. I like to tell people about the show because you hear a lot of it's the drama, and some people even think it's scripted and stuff. And I'm like, no, I said, no, 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 no. I said, they never, ever tell you anything to say. I said, it's always be yourself. And I said, that's the secret to it. You got to have a little bit of, you got to let your personality, because everybody has personality, but some,
Not everybody shows it.
you just got to be able to let it out and just express, that joy and that fun and let it show, I think, and, would be my best advice to anybody because, as you know, too, as we go through the process, you see other teams that don't make it, and some of them are just very quiet, they're all about the building and all that. And it is a TV show, so it's not
It's a
all
TV
about
show.
the building.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's one of the things, like, I think we noticed the very first episode, and I think most of the builders, the very first episode, we kind of tended to build kind of small. Well, a couple of them built big, but, and then you realize when you see it being filmed, it's like, oh, wow. And then as the show went over, you just started getting bigger and bigger with the builds
Yeah.
because you realize that. And then it started being, okay, I'll just build for the camera side. I won't build for the back.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So what positive mental health benefits have you noticed with Lego?
For me personally, it is just a great, I want to say confidence builder, because I personally, and kind of on a downer note, but we had tried out for season 1, and then with that interim time with season 2 and stuff, we moved and some different things, and I really got into kind of a bad place. I was just kind of depressed. There was a lot more factors going into it and stuff, but it was that Lego, having those conventions and that family, that community that, you go out there and you see them, and that's what really, I mean, it brought me out of it. And I think that, if people are having a tough time, this community is probably one of the best, most supportive. I mean, it's amazing. And just, being able to use your imagination and take these bricks, you can kind of work through stuff. Now there's the whole serious play, and they're using it for therapy and stuff. And I think it's amazing what, can be done. And so that's been the real benefit for me too. I mean, it's the people side of it, as well as the ability to, build and create and all that kind of stuff too.
What I find quite interesting is, because I've documented my Lego art over the years, I can look back on some of it and I can see what headspace I was in.
Right, right.
Like I can see themes in the art that I wasn't probably conscious of at the time, but with hindsight and seeing with perspective, I can see what it was that I was trying to say. It's yeah. I found, because I spent a couple of years writing for the brothers. Hang on. I spent a couple of years writing for the Brothers Brick, and it was a really interesting experience because my job was to basically go around and look at all the amazing creations on the internet. And no matter who spoke the language or who had built it, I could kind of look at it and I could try and understand what it is that we're trying to communicate. And
Right.
that's when I realized that Lego is a language, and
Exactly.
it's a language that breaches cultures, it breaches real languages, and it's just an ultimate connection. Well, clutching
Right.
at metaphors here, but like the connection power of Lego is really amazing. And I think a lot of our community are quite introverted folk.
Yes. Yes.
And then they tend not to like to talk about themselves. But I find that if they build something, they're quite happy to talk for hours about what they've built. And I think it's about externalizing a lot of the internal stuff that goes on and producing it in a way which is slow and methodical, and you can articulate yourself better because you've told your story in bricks, right? And I think that it's it gives people an amazing voice to be able to communicate things that potentially they don't have the language to do so normally, And over and over and over, I've seen this in people's art, and it blows me away. It blows me away.
Well, and that's one of my favorite things at the conventions and stuff. I see the people that are just kind of sitting there, kind of, look a little scared and stuff. And so I'll go up and I'll ask them, I'll say, I love your build, what talk to them about it and stuff. And it is just what you said. It's amazing how it allows them to just open up, and I hopefully feel more comfortable. And, and I encourage everybody I can, because I want everybody to just have the time of their life at these shows. I mean, there's always some things going on, that isn't so good and nice. I mean, that's just human nature, and you pack several hundred people in a building together. You're going to have it, but that's the beautiful thing for the most part. Most of that crap stays outside, and it just becomes about how fantastic the builds are, and helping each other out. If somebody needs a part or something like that, something got messed up in transport, which always somebody has happen. So there's always somebody there that can help you rebuild or fix it and do stuff. And it's just, like I said, I cherish the family, the friends, their family. Once you come into my world, I mean, you're part of my family now. You've talked to me. You came into my world, so you're family now. And that's how
Shared
I feel
common
for
experience.
everybody. I mean, vendors, the builders, even the people that I help set up the shows too, but then there's also the workers there that are doing the just making setting up the chairs, the tables and stuff, because if they're there long enough and see some of the builds, then they get brought into it too, because they start asking, they think it's great. And some of them even go on to, if I see them again later, oh, I went and got this set and stuff like that and got into it, so it's amazing and just wonderful how, it just sucks you in.
It's an absolute celebration of creativity,
Yes.
and it truly brings out the absolute best in people.
Yep.
And then the auctions bring out the absolute worst in people.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I say. There's, there's that too, and the competition sometimes, and the trophies and stuff people get a little bit hurt when they don't. But at the end of the day, though, you just gotta build what
Well,
you like.
I like what you said earlier about how it's not about being the best builder; it's about being a better builder, improving on the building you did yesterday. And that's something that I think when I stopped comparing my story to everybody else's and I started just comparing myself to who I was yesterday, and do I make a better choice today? Did I make a better decision? Did I make a better build? And that's really, that's the measure I think that most people ought to measure themselves against, because that's something that they can see benefit and achievement from, growth. Okie dokie.
There's a little bit of a thing too, since we've been on Lego Masters, the general public and even a lot of the AFOLs, we're Lego Masters now. And I'm like, no, we're not. Because I had one of the shows that I do, I had the opportunity, they have what they call a Lego Master Challenge. And part of the way it was set up, we were supposed to judge 1, 2, and 3. And I said, no. I said, I don't want to do it. Number 2, I'm not in any way positioned to judge anybody else's builds. I mean, so I cut that part of it out and ended up just purely doing it like we did on the show. I give them the people have a little box brick to work with. I tell them, I'm going to give you a theme. You're going to get a time limit, and this is your little mini brick pit. And I said, there's no, I'm not going to judge or anything like that. I want you just to have fun with it. And so, that's my thing of it too. I would never, ever, ever want to hurt anybody's feelings for anything they ever did, or feel like because I was on the show, I was some kind of better builder, because I'm not. I mean, I see.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I also see that you have a perspective that's very unique, because you have been in the pressure cooker that is Lego Masters, and you've been in a room with other Lego Masters that are of an incredible caliber of build, and so I think your perspective on, and because I was reluctant at first to do any judging, and then at a show recently, I was asked to do some judging of the teenage ones, the new people, the newbies, and I was like, absolutely, this will be fun. And so I didn't know any of these people. I just went around and looked at the build, and I looked at them based on their merits and based on how good I thought they were. That was it. It was just kind of what I liked. It was my personal taste and how I liked it. And then at the end, I had the people come up to me and go, "Oh, thank you for choosing me." I'm like, it wasn't a personal thing. I just really appreciated what you did. And then kind of I started asking them about it and asking them how they'd like to improve it or what they could, and then listen to what they had to say, then kind of say, well, I learned this from Lego Masters, or and so just kind of passing on little bits of not telling them how to do their job, but telling them insights that I may have learned whilst doing the show that made me a better builder, in my opinion, And
Right.
I think ultimately being on the show is like going to university, It's like you go to
No, I
Lego
agree with that.
University and you come out of it and you've got a PhD in Lego, kind of, and most people, they'd love to have a PhD in Lego, and they'd like to know, and so they come to you because they consider you kind of a professor, because you spent a lot more time doing it. And I think that's something that as a Lego master, we ought to own so that we can inspire, because that's the best thing about being on Lego Masters for me was everywhere I go and people, they want to be inspired. They are inspired, and anytime I go into a Lego workshop and there's a bunch of kids doing stuff, and my job is just to kind of go, oh, hey, that's a cool idea. What if you did it like this? And they go, and then and so it's just giving them a little bit more fuel to feed their own creativity without taking anything away from them. And I think that's a gift that, they will keep on giving.
Well, and I do enjoy that. I've had a couple of Lego clubs and stuff that I've helped with and ran and different things, and so I do and I agree with I get what you're saying. I don't know. Like I said, I just don't feel sometimes like I should. And I've watched
Is that
some of
your
the kids.
imposter syndrome, though?
What's that?
Is that your imposter syndrome, though?
It probably has a lot to do. I have self-esteem issues. There's no doubt about it. So that very well could be.
I think you're doing great. And I really like your view and the way that you look at Lego and the way that you love, your love of the community is the thing that's the gift that you have that you can give,
Well,
and your honesty and your candor.
yeah, what you see is what you get. Good.
But I think that's also the best thing about the Lego Masters is that you kind of know, if you've seen the show, you kind of know the person because they're just like they appear on TV, because there is
Right.
no acting. It's just them being them. It's wonderful.
And that's what I tell people. It's the most real reality show you're ever going to
It is.
get. Because you
It
said
really
there's
is.
nothing scripted or not. We're not told to be. Only thing we're told is be yourself and have fun, and
I
we
mean,
do.
you can tell it's not scripted when the production company are panicking because they can't figure out what's going to happen next because they're not sure what's going on. Oh dear. So what? We've covered that one. So have you used Lego in any educational settings?
I'm working on. I have done a little bit. I had been asked to do a Lego club, so before I moved up here to Oklahoma, why I had every week I would go down to was kind of a lower income facility where they offered classes and they had after school programs and stuff. And so I had like a little Lego club there, and I've done some, and I've been we had Corey Samuels and Tacos
Mm,
here in the States. I get to do several conventions with them, and they do all the STEM teaching and stuff. And so I've been very
nice.
fortunate to be able to help them some, and I've learned a great deal. So I'm working when I have the time here in this new little community. I've found there are a lot of Lego just fanatics like me, and there's great opportunity here to do some classes and stuff. So that's my future is once kind of quit doing so much of the personal appearances, and I'll never stop doing conventions, but I'll back off. I'm doing a lot. Like this year, I've got 20 of them that I'm going to be at.
Wow,
I just
that's a
did
lot.
Atlanta, Albuquerque. I did Albuquerque about 3 weeks ago. I was in Atlanta a week ago, and I just got home yesterday from Oklahoma City, and then I've got 2 weeks off, and then I got two back-to-back shows that and it's kind of like that all this year, and I'm loving every minute of it. But eventually that will. So I want to kind of back down and just do some stuff with my community and really foster. You know, I really love the whole serious play thing and try to do some of that. There again, I've got to get my confidence about my abilities to help people with that kind of stuff. So before I really jump into that, but I definitely do want to do more because I've taught a lot of things. I've taught art as a illustrator and color pencil to kids and adults both, and I really enjoy that. So that is
You mentioned
one element.
STEM. You mentioned STEM before. The version I like is STEAM, where the science, tech, art, education, and maths. So like they put the A in there because the A stands for art because it's just as valuable as the other four.
See, I
And I
hadn't
agree.
heard, that would be because that would be more. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
need
mean,
to.
I think STEM was the original, and I think since then people have tried to put the A in there as well. And I think the A absolutely belongs in there because it's one of the things that humans can do that other species on this planet don't, and that's create art. So it is a defining factor of being human. So I think we should celebrate and educate ourselves with it.
Absolutely. I mean, I try to incorporate, even my carpentry, I consider it a creative outlet.
Even
anything.
bodybuilding is an art. I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. Um, would you ever consider returning to Lego Masters? Would you do it again?
in a heartbeat. I keep trying.
I know, right?
I keep reaching out to my producers and stuff, saying, "Hey, I really want to do the Christmas special. I would be Santa Claus." I can't remember the kid's name in Australia. He was, I think, one of the first contestants, and now he's part of the show. He does all the kinds of fun stuff. I'd love to do that. I'd love to come over there and do some of the international, like they're starting to do.
I know they look really cool, really cool.
I mean, I love this product, and I wish and hope that maybe someday Lego will say, "Hey, we like this guy. We want him to represent the old people." And, right now it seems to be the younger that all about the influencers who are, in their 20s and 30s and stuff. Cause I tried to get into the real media program, but I'm an old guy. My YouTube channel and all that stuff, I'm puttering along. I'm a subscriber. I think I've got 600 now on my YouTube channel. I've had it for
Nice,
almost
good
6
work.
years. Instagram, I'm finally creeping up to almost 1,600. So, I mean, as far as
Nice,
getting out there, but the thing of it is, I'm
long
doing
journey.
all these shows and I'm in front of thousands of the public all the time and just promoting and talking it up. And, so, and I don't even care about, even that. It would just be fun to come over there and get to meet, because I'm sure a lot of y'all end up over there and billing and stuff like that more
Well,
often. I
yeah,
could see.
I think there's two contestants from the New Zealand Lego Masters that are over working in Billund. There's 3 or 4 from the Australian Lego Masters that are over there working in Billund. There's 2 or 3 from the US Lego Masters that are working over there in Billund. So,
Yeah,
but I've also heard that like a couple of them, they had to apply like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times because the competition is so fierce, even as Lego Masters. So,
yeah,
it's I think I'd be very, very happy just to get a piece of my art in Lego House.
I
I
would
think
too.
that
And I'm
that
going to
would be
kind of
the one thing I would absolutely love more than anything would be to have a piece of my art in Lego House.
I want to get something Wild West in there, because
Oh, that'd be
I've
cool.
heard they really don't want to. And I, right, wrong, or indifferent, I was kind of told, because that was my dream when I started the big Wild West display and stuff, was because I was it's been on Beyond the Brick a couple of times. I really wanted to see if I could get Lego. I was even going to do a book and all that stuff. And then I found out that they just really don't want to pursue it much. So, if I could, but although, the Bricklink program now, there's a
Yeah, I
lot of,
know. The brick that's opened a lot more doors.
and I'm seeing a lot more Wild West builders and stuff all over the world. In fact, I want to do something like what you're doing here. I want to reach out to all of the different Wild West builders and just
Do it.
one-on-one kind of thing with them, and kind of
Do it.
get all of us together. That's one of my big goals this year, is to get on that and
Yeah, I
kind of
think
really.
there's a couple of really good Facebook groups for the Wild West Lego. I know there's some
There
pirate ones
is.
and some castle ones, but there are some really,
I
yeah.
belong to both of them since I got in pretty early when they. So yeah, I've been watching them in there. Yeah, I've watched a lot of great builders, and I made a few friends.
Oh,
There's a guy Woot, and I won't even try to butcher his last name. He's in Sweden, I think, and he had seen my build on the Beyond the Brick, and he picks a different theme every year. Like he had
yeah.
castle and just a
Yeah.
magnificent builder, and he
Wow.
built for a museum. Some they go in museums, so he did this just over the top Wild West build that and we just kept commenting back and forth about all that, and we've just kind of gotten to be friends on Facebook and stuff. And I would love to meet him in person someday, and because he's just a phenomenal builder, and
Oh,
he
you have to
did.
make it happen.
I want to, and I plan. It's money and time.
Yeah. Money and time. I know. If we had more of that, we'd have a lot more going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to love you and leave it there, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And thank you very much for sharing your story. I would really like to see some of your pictures of the Wild West thing that you've got. So I'll have to, what I'll do is I'll get your Instagram handle and we'll share it through this thing, and we'll get other people to go and have a nosy and see if we can't boost those numbers, get some more followers. But yeah, I highly recommend you doing a YouTube thing. I've been wanting to do this YouTube thing for a very, very, very long time. And I finally got around to it, and it's the most fun I've ever had. This is so cool.
It is, and it's crazy how everybody that's doing the YouTube is also an AFOL and all that, but yet it seems to be its own little community as well, because I had no idea when I started my channel. I was just going to make video because I'd been watching like Jang Bricks and Jabo
Yeah, yeah.
Bricks were, showing their cities and all that kind of stuff. I had no idea there was this whole, like, every night somebody's doing live streams where a bunch of people get together and just hang out and do all
Have you
that.
seen these? Have you seen these brick sorters? Which they'll like there'll be 30 of them over a weekend, over a 24-hour weekend. They do brick sorting over like via Zoom or something. I think it's fantastic.
I've been a
One
part
way to
of this.
motivate
The
sorting.
72-hour, we get to pick, like, however many hour-long things. I've been able to do a couple of those, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, you meet a lot of the other streamers and stuff that's that way too.
That's
Now,
cool. I'm going to have to
um,
do one of those.
yes,
Well,
you
thank you
should.
very much. Thank you very much for your time, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll look forward to chatting to you again sometime.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
I want to get to know you. We've listened to me babble on all day. I want to know more about you too. So
Well, I'll have to come and appear on your podcast.
you got it. You got it.
Sounds like a plan. All right, mate. Take care.
Oh, you too. Thank